All right, so you've seen how the two teams made it to the last 8 of the competition. Côte d'Ivoire survived. Their story is extraordinary. They were given so many opportunities to stay alive in the competition. They took them and they are still here. They are still here, of course, using that penalty shootout against Senegal to get to the quarterfinals of the competition. The Malians, guys, a bit more straightforward for them. Beat South Africa, and then they got 2 subsequent draws, 5 points. Then they beat Burkina Faso. And I think what was probably the most straightforward round of 16 game.
Burkina had a fight in there somewhere, but
I think their cause wasn't helped by the early goal they conceded.
Yes.
The own goal was really bad. And then they conceded another goal very early in the second half. They do have focus problems. Anyway, let's talk about Mali. We'll get to the host nation because their story has different parts. Sedam, your thoughts on what we've seen from Mali? A lot of people believe that this is the competition that Mali will use to announce itself properly as one of the more elite teams. Have you seen that? Have you seen an elite Malian team?
Not really. This is just Mali on the normal level. This is the Mali we've become accustomed to. It's just that the other big gangs have failed us in many ways. That's why Mali seems to be a spark. But this is just how Mali normally performs. And for me, hey, they have really got a nice talent belt, so they keep on coming up with great talent, coming up with great people through the mill. And it's working for them. They've got really nice organization when they are playing on the pitch as well. And that's one thing that I want to really applaud them for. They've got that focus, that drive, that this is the game that we need to approach in a very, very interesting way, and then we'll go and kill it. But this is going to be their toughest test yet.
Okay. What they have to do with what? The host nation, crowd, pressure?
For the crowd and pressure.
Or the fact that they need to pass this test, just looking at where they want to get to.
Definitely, but for the crowd and pressure, it's more like the crowd themselves will drop their heads first, even before the team would. Should they see that things start going south, the crowd would quickly turn on them. But for the inconsistency of the Ivorians, that's what the Malians should be prepared for.
But you're saying that it will be their toughest?
Because you don't know which Ivorian team would show up. You simply cannot tell. Is it the one that played Senegal or the one that lost 2 games? They are the only side to have lost 2 games and still in the competition as at now. So they've gotten 3 opportunities, and this is, you don't know which one would turn up.
Okay. So I get it. So it's tricky for the Malians to kind of get ready for them.
Yeah.
Because if the bad Côte d'Ivoire shows up, great. If the good Côte d'Ivoire shows up,
difficult.
Makes it tough. Ivan, let's talk about the Ivorians. Like Sednam said, the only team to have been handed this many opportunities to stay alive, the group campaign didn't go well at all. They sacked their coach. MS5 came in. They needed Morocco to do them a favor. Yeah. Morocco did them a favor. Then they had to beat Senegal. What a journey.
Roller coaster all over the place. But for me, this game, I think it will be won and lost in the midfield. It's between Haidar, actually, and then Seri. He was very impressive in that game. For me, I think he was my man of the match. It's going to be between those two. Whoever they partner with, whether it's Sangare, Fofana, or they start Kessie in there. I think Max Gradel is gone. He's 37. Côte d'Ivoire played very well. After conceding, I think they pretty much dominated the game till they got their penalty, went to extra time and won on penalties. He was a no-show. I don't remember him even taking 10 touches of the ball. So probably they will have to sit him down, maybe bring in Kessie. Then you have 3 in midfield, push Fofana a bit further forward, and then you had him with Crasso and
a lot of people talk about the Ivorian midfield mix.
Yeah.
And for a lot of observers, they feel that is where the problem is because they have a lot of players who are very similar.
I think it's the balance.
Okay.
And I'm happy that the coach who came in to kind of steady the ship, he had balls to take that decision that, okay, I need someone to shield my defense. Because let's be honest, this Ivorian defense is not as impressive as Ivorian teams we've seen before. Their goalkeeper also doesn't feel you much confidence. Exactly. So you need someone in there he's a master at helping a defense. He's a master of the DM role. And that's Seri. I mean, 3 or 4 years ago, he was almost being poached by Barcelona. That didn't go well. He came into the Premier League. He played for Fulham. Now he's playing for Hull City also. But he actually showed his experience. He's the reason why they were able to put that much pressure on Senegal and then put them on the back foot. So he starts for me. Now, who you pair him with?
Who complements?
Because we know Fofana is more like a box-to-box player. He's even going to be more offensive, like they set him out there. Sangare, some games is good, some games is not good. You know what you are going to get from Frank Kessie. Do you play all 4 of them or you play 3 of them for balance? So you have one defensive guy in there, one who plays more like an 8 and then the other plays like a 10. So then it's actually between Kessie and Sangare, who sits and who starts. For me, I think probably Sangare starts because he's had the more consistent number of games.
So you keep Kessie on the bench?
I keep Kessie on the bench. But then if you're keeping Kessie on the bench, doesn't mean Gradel starts because I wouldn't want him to start. So you probably have to bring in Adingra so that you have more like a 3-man up front. Then Fofana can join in there. Then you have 2 sitting in the midfield. So you have Seri and then you have Sangare. And then the 4 of them can do damage up front and put some pressure on the Malian defense, who also, in as much as they are good, I think their lateral defenders are very good, but the center pair and the goalkeeper also.
So on that score, if you are MS5, which call do you make? Do you go with Crasso or you go with Ale?
Ale also hasn't played much club football. I think he's played just 3 games for Dortmund this season.
He came into the competition with an injury.
Yes.
He only played his first minutes in that game against Senegal.
Crasso has had more game time. I think he scored 2 goals. So you start with Crasso. Then I think Adingra has to start.
I see.
He's more direct. He plays for a team where they are ready to pass and move. Unlike Pepe, who hold on to the ball, draw players. I think Pepe performs better when he comes off the bench and has a point to prove. When you start him, he probably gets a bit swollen-headed, loses focus, and then...
And of course, when the opposition defense is tiring, then there's some space.
And if you are going... On whichever flank he plays, he's either going to face Traore or Sakho. Those guys aren't going to allow you any easy game. So you have to be someone who can easily let go of the ball, move into space, get the ball back, deliver the ball, and then let your attackers attack the ball. So for me, that's it. Seri obviously starts. You put in Sangare in there. Then please don't let Gradel start this game. I beg you. Because the Malians in that midfield, if you lose the midfield, you are going to lose the game.
And it just leads me to that the Ivorian game with Senegal. It was almost muscles over technique, and muscles won that day. But now they come up against a midfield that is equally physical. Quite a war in that midfield, like Emmanuel is saying.
So in such situations, when there's too much muscle in the midfield, you try and play around the midfield to avoid that crowd in there. But who is going to have the balls to do it? Like Emmanuel was saying, if you bring in a Pepe, it will be minus for Côte d'Ivoire because you want to play around that crowded midfield and you've got to do it quickly.
Yeah.
But for Pepe, he will hold on to the ball. That's why Adingra fits perfectly. So whoever manages to play around it, because in the midfield, there's going to be so much.
Yeah, the Malians will have
bloodbath.
They are too high. Darren.
It's going to be choked.
It will be choked. So on the Malian side, assuming they want to do something different, what would they do? Should they still match the Ivorians for numbers, or you want to have somebody like Yves Bissouma in there just to change the dynamics slightly? But Yves Bissouma is not the coach's best friend, so he's benched him in a lot more games.
For the name, you might want to start him, but for the impact on the team, I don't think Yves should start, because in that midfield, if Yves starts, he's going to struggle. If he starts, he's going to struggle, because look at the amount of muscle coming in. Can Yves have his moment where he's going to be turning on the ball in the middle?
Yves Bissouma is not the quickest in possession, to be honest. He labors on the ball.
Yeah, the longer you hold on to that ball, you are going to do your team a big disservice, because both teams have firepower front. You look at Sinayoko, you look at Koita. I hope he starts this game. Once they get the ball, they are releasing it to them. Against a team where your defense is not too solid already, I think the Ivorian left back is a corner, and he was solid in the game against Senegal. But for me, I think he's more of an offensive threat than a defensive threat. So if you put him on the same side with Pepe, that's going to be a minus because he's going to make overlapping runs and Pepe is not going to release the ball to him. Then you find yourself wanting because now you would have to either Serie now have to fill in a gap. And already it's a midfield battle. The more men you lose in the midfield, the more you open up the game for your opponent.
Interesting dynamic there. So up top you'd have Sinayoko, who's settled. I think has 3 goals, I believe. He has settled more. Then the Ivorian forward line, which is still struggling. Ale is just coming in. Crasso scored a very good goal on opening day. He hasn't done much since. Interesting. So it's a war of the midfield, like we're saying, and an attack that can find a little and put the ball in. Let's deal with the externalities. You are Mali. You've played in Boaké all through. You are comfortable. But you are now up against the host nation, the home crowd. How do you think they will handle that amount of, or the pressure is no longer on them, it's on the Ivorians?
I mean, the Ivorians being hosts, the pressure will definitely be on them. And especially they would want to make amends for how bad they started. They had to wait till the last day to guarantee or confirm qualification. So
their impatient self-sack their coach.
Exactly. they would want to make amends, especially for that. At least get into the semi-finals. Even if you place 4th, it's not so bad. But then for Mali also, football development has gone on there. You'd also want to prove and show that, okay, the money you have put in there is yielding some form of results. I think Mali has a slight advantage in that they finished their game in 90 minutes. They didn't have to play extra time and penalties, which can be draining in itself, especially for Côte d'Ivoire when they played against Senegal. So you are fresher. You've also not traveled much. Côte d'Ivoire has to travel up north. So for them, also they will need to impose their will a bit early in this game.
Okay.
At least this Côte d'Ivoire 2.0 team has proven that they can dominate games. They can come back. So if you don't impose your role and you're a bit lackluster and then they get the drive, they're moving the ball around, the crowd gets behind them, it could actually be a very tall order for you, just like it was for Senegal. So they would have to, that's it, they are a home team more or less, so they would have to impose their will, get their forward players in there, put some pressure on their defense, play a few shots at their unsettled goalkeeper and take it up from there.
Finally, we've heard the Malian coach talk about the need to gain respect from the rest of the continent. So what is a respectable achievement in this competition? Quarters, semis?
There should be semis for them.
Okay. So you feel that they have one more level in them?
And beating the home nation in their backyard would really command respect. If respect is all he wants in the tournament, that would really command respect. And how he sets up his team against this particular, like Emmanuel said, Ivorian 2.0.
Côte d'Ivoire 2.0.
Côte d'Ivoire 2.0 would be very, very important. Midfield battle, match them boot for boot, take your opportunities. You can go for a shooting practice as well. Try some
shots at Fofana.
Fofana is not. Once it opens up, he's going to put his boot through it. You know that just based on how he's been.
Interesting. We'll see how it plays out in Boaké. It's Mali versus Côte d'Ivoire. The Ivorians are hoping that it works well for them. The last thing I'll say about Côte d'Ivoire is that I hope there won't be any more meme generating. I've had so much fun watching that video. You know, like this was caught live on the feed.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I saw it, I was like, what's going on here? Only for the gentleman Anselm Santos to come and apologize to his wife. I don't know if you've seen the story.
Yeah. No, I saw the mail, but I didn't. So that's what happened.
So he was found. He was tracked down.
He was found.
Yeah, I like that. He was found, and he was interviewed. And he said, "Look, I'm sorry to my wife and children." Like he said, in the euphoria, he was asking the woman for her number. And she wasn't budging. So that was really
your number.
so if you watch, so when he said, I went back to watch the clip again, and I was trying to lip read, and it was true. He actually did ask for the woman's number. The woman didn't look comfortable at all. She was trying to like ward him off.
At all.
Yeah, but this is that you've become the star of the competition for the wrong reasons. Now you are in the press. Everybody sees you. They'll point at you. Your wife and kids have to deal with this. Or Anselm Santos. No. That's not the best way to start in an AFCON. Let's talk